gustaría hablarles, para empezar, de Gattefossé, una empresa de origen francés con presencia en 80 países y que cuenta con 50 distribuidores a nivel mundial, contando con 2 sedes de fabricación en Francia, en Singapur y próximamente una en Estados Unidos. Gattefossé se encuentra comprometida con la innovación y es por ello que cuenta con un amplio equipo dedicado a la investigación, al desarrollo de nuevos productos y, por supuesto, de nuevas aplicaciones. Consideren también que contamos con un amplio mercado de referencia a nivel mundial. Adicional, contamos con 4 laboratorios de aplicación en el mundo y recuerden que Gattefossé está enfocado en productos en el área farmacéutica, cuidado personal y veterinario. En cuanto a la parte Farma, de la que hablaremos hoy, les comento que nuestros excipientes con funcionalidad lipídica se encuentran divididos de la siguiente manera. La vía oral, como solubilizantes, incrementadores de la biodisponibilidad, modificadores de la liberación, enmascaradores, protectores de activos, y para la parte tópica tenemos emulsificantes, solubilizantes y excipientes que optimizan la experiencia sensorial. Y para la parte rectal y vaginal, contamos con bases para aplicación en supositorios y óvulos, y con nuestros excipientes pueden obtener diferentes formas farmacéuticas, desde una loción muy líquida hasta un ungüento. Es así como pueden también crear microemulsiones, espumas, geles, parches, tabletas, entre otras formas farmacéuticas. Nuestros materiales son productos de origen vegetal y lipofílico que, al unirse por diferentes reacciones químicas, forman nuevas moléculas con nuevas propiedades de miscibilidad, solubilidad, punto de fusión y HLB. El siguiente gráfico muestra la oferta para la administración oral de medicamentos desde vehículos oleosos con un HLB bajo, como pueden ser un Labrafac, un Lipofil, un PCOL, y por otra parte surfactantes dispersables en agua con un HLB elevado, como los labrafiles, el labrazol y los gelucires. También contamos con un solubilizante altamente puro, mejor conocido químicamente como el dietilenglicol monetiléter. Este material es conocido como el transcutol. Tenemos 3 presentaciones de ellos: el transcutol HP para la vía oral, el transcutol P para la vía tópica y el transcutol V para la parte veterinaria. Así bien, me gustaría presentarles también, déjenme darle clic aquí, un segundito. Ahí está. Presentarles estos materiales que tenemos. Estos excipientes fueron lanzados tras varios años de investigación por parte de Gattefossé el año pasado y han llegado a México por fin este año, y es el Labrafac MC60, un surfactante, un solubilizante que presenta propiedades que mejoran la penetración, un Gelucire 5914, que es un surfactante soluble en agua y que mejora la biodisponibilidad oral. Estos materiales, si necesitan más información, con gusto se los podemos hacer llegar. Para la parte tópica, los fármacos que tenemos son materiales con una amplia variedad en punto de fusión y HLB, donde ofrecemos solubilizantes como un Labrazol, los Labrafac, los caprioles, y para la parte de emulsificantes tenemos el Gelot 64, el Gattefossé 63, e inclusive un material que pueden ustedes observar aquí, que es el plurol disoestiaric, un excipiente que podemos utilizar tanto en procesos en frío como caliente. Y nuestro nuevo lanzamiento, también por parte de Gattefossé, que es el Emulfree Duo, un nuevo material que es capaz de formar bigeles. Para la parte rectal y vaginal, nuestra línea de suposires y obusires son fabricados a partir de grasas duras o grasas duras con aditivos. Estas bases proporcionan una excelente estabilidad físico-química y propiedades en la administración de fármacos que cubren una amplia gama de activos. En el mercado mexicano hemos observado que la mayor funcionalidad de nuestros productos se encuentran en el suposire A, en el suposire AM, en el BC2 e inclusive en la línea de los obusires. Y para la parte de los medicamentos veterinarios, incluyen solubilizantes como los labrazoles, asimismo el transcutol, los lauroglicoles y vehículos oleosos que forman parte de la dosificación para inyectables, aplicaciones oral, tópica, spot on, así como el transcutol. Los excipientes también se utilizan en cremas, ungüentos, geles, soluciones orales, pastas, comprimidos, que tienen una excelente funcionalidad, seguridad y tolerancia, y pueden ser maravillosos para la parte de veterinaria. A continuación, les presento a nuestra especialista técnica de Gattefossé, nuestra compañera Inayet Ellis. Es directora de Asuntos Científicos en Gattefossé, Estados Unidos, donde proporciona apoyo científico y regulatorio y de calidad en el uso de excipientes a base de lípidos en América del Norte. Tiene más de 15 años de experiencia en el desarrollo de diversas formas de dosificación oral y tópica, desde la etapa inicial hasta la fabricación comercial. Obtuvo su licenciatura en farmacia en la Universidad de Ankara, una maestría en ciencias y un doctorado en la farmacia de la Universidad de Rhode Island. Fue galardonada con una beca por Hoffman La Roche por su disertación sobre sistemas de administración de medicamentos basados en lípidos en medicamentos poco solubles. A continuación, esta ponente con una amplia experiencia nos pondrá a disposición una información bastante enriquecedora. Bueno, en la parte inferior de su pantalla contamos con el seminario con traducción simultánea, por lo cual les pedimos que escojan el idioma que mejor les convenga, y nuestra ponente tendrá una sesión de preguntas y respuestas al finalizar el seminario. Inayet, I'm going to stop sharing and you can start your presentation, please.
Okay, thank you so much for the introduction. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure today to connect you via Zoom and to present topical presentations. Let me share my screen. Okay, so today it's my pleasure to share with you our product application for skin delivery with human and veterinary topical products. So I will start with some introduction, and we'll talk about mechanisms about how to enhance skin penetration and Gattefossé ingredients for topical formulations. And I will give you some user-friendly prototype topical formulation examples. In general, both for veterinary or human, the topical administration has obvious advantages. It's very convenient to apply. There's no tissue damage. It can avoid the first pass metabolism when the drugs are ingested. It can lower the drug load and reduce the side effect. And it is basically you can use for local action in the skin without any systemic effect. However, it comes with challenges. First is the skin absorption. You have to cross the skin barrier. And there is, especially for animals, there's a risk of oral ingestion of the product. And between the different species, there could be variations in the absorption of the drug. So if you look at the both human and animal skin, they all, actually mammals, composed of 3 main layers on the skin: epidermis, dermis, and hypodermis. Even though they all have these 3 layers, the thickness can be different from species to species. Like the cattle probably have thicker skin, dogs have thinner skin, maybe cats have thinner skin. The pig skin has the most similar epidermis to the human skin with in terms of the thickness. However, small mammals, they have much thinner epidermis and they don't have much capillaries or vascularized system in their epidermis. And in the animals, there is fur and hair. It might make the product application difficult. However, the hair, actually, it's a great route for the drug penetration and permeation. And I'm going to show you some examples. So APIs can penetrate or permeate on the skin in different pathways. The most common way is transcellular, that is directly through the layers of the skin, and that's mostly for the hydrophilic compound and polar compounds, and this goes through the diffusion route. And it can go between the cell layers. This is preferred by nonpolar and lipophilic compounds. And some drugs, it can go through the hair follicle directly to sebaceous and sweat glands. And this is more common for the veterinary products. So for the transcellular, intercellular pathway, there is a barrier to cross for every species. It is stratum corneum. It's the most difficult barrier to cross. Obviously, it's the protective layer. It is made of keratin, which is kind of embedded in a cement kind of complex, which is made of different lipid kind of structure like fatty acids, ceramides, cholesterols, or amino acids and minerals. So it's such a tight structure that it makes the APIs penetration more challenging. And the pass through the stratum corneum is usually by passive diffusion, and that is governed by a Fick's law. Fick's law means how much, basically it just shows you how much drug passed through the skin, and it is defined by flux, J, and it's depend on the diffusion coefficient of the drug on the skin and how much skin can partition out from the formulation or the vehicle, and the concentration, in other words, what is the dose of the drug, and also it's going to depend on the skin thickness. So if that also defines in the body where you're going to apply the product. One thing that in this equation is missing is the skin barrier function, which flux can be basically modulated by changing the skin barrier function using a different vehicles or solubilizers. In order to modulate the flux, obviously, in other words, if you want to change the permeation of your drug via the skin, you can basically play these parameters: skin vehicle partition coefficient, the concentration gradient, and change in the skin barrier function. So with the vehicle and drug interaction, you might be able to modify, but the others kind of like skin thickness is going to be, if you decide it's going to be on the leg, obviously you can change. If it is going to be back of a dog, it has a certain skin thickness that you cannot change. However, when you are doing in vitro models, maybe you should use the right skin region that's the product is going to be applied to. So in order to increase the flux, like you can change these parameters, or if you want to have one of these parameters can be changed, or you can do two of those to create a synergy even to get a percutaneous permeation through the skin. So let's look at the drug vehicle properties. First, the drug has to be solubilized to cross the skin, but it should not be charged or changing the charge during the formulation or the application. Drug has to be solubilized in the vehicle, but it needs to be partitioned out from the vehicle into different layers of the skin, typically to stratum corneum. So it is an important balance that actually defines by the drug concentration. So like I mentioned, the drug diffusion is going to be driven by drug concentration. And the drug concentration, if it is close to a saturation solubility, you're going to create a maximum thermodynamic force to cross the stratum corneum. Sometimes the higher solubility, lower drug dose may not result in a higher drug flux. So therefore, you may need to modify your formulation, either the dose or the vehicle that you use. And you don't want to stay in the saturated point where you may sacrifice the drug stability over the time. So you have to really strike a balance between the penetration, permeation, and the stability of your drug. So in the topical formulations, we will see various formulation. Gattefossé offers excipients pretty much in all the topical formulations for ointments, creams, foams, microemulsions, gels, etc. We have solubilizers, oily vehicles, emulsifiers, and different surfactants, either hydrophilic or lipophilic surfactants, and some stabilizing agents and thickeners. We're going to go through some examples and formulas with these products. Just for the veterinary products, we have solubilizers like Transketal V, like Labrasol, and more oily solubilizers like Labrafil, Capriol, or Labrafag, WL. These are, again, except Transketal, they all come with different HLB, and they could be like just a surfactant like Labrasol or Labrafil, or co-surfactant like Capriol, PGMC. And we have some topical emulsifier base that just comes ready to make your creams or lotions like Gattefossé 1500, Gattefossé 63, plural diisosteric. And for veterinary topical products, again, with these different emulsifiers or oily vehicles or surfactants or solubilizers, it's possible to make the ointments, suspension emulsions, microemulsions, or the commonly used spot-on formulations and lotions. So in the oily vehicle and solubilizer, Transketal V, it's a good solvent for spot-on sprays and gels and microemulsions and even creams. Labrasol is a oil and water surfactant, good for gels, ointment, and microemulsions, and some shampoos you're going to see. Labrafil M1944 is an oil and water co-surfactant with HLB9. It's good more for hydrophobic system. Same thing, Capriol 90 is a co-surfactant, lower HLB, good for hydrophobic systems like ointment or microemulsions. Lauroglycol 90 as well, and Labrafag lipophile as an oily vehicle for ointments and microemulsions. So one of the commonly used solubilizer we have is Labrasol. It is a capriol macroglycerides in terms of its chemistry, or in other words, it's a polyoxyl glycerides. It's a water dispersible solubilizer and self-emulsifying surfactant, has been used in antihelmintic treatments and infections because of good skin penetration and the skin tolerability, and has been used on a pour-on for cattle and shampoos as well for domestic animals because of the easy rinse. And if it is a, again, leave-on product, because this is a surfactant that comes with the soapy taste, actually it can be a good advantage for the animal product, so that your animal, either the pet or others, won't lick your product when it is applied on their skin. And including Labrasol and some other Gattefossé excipients, they've been already used in approved veterinary products, like spraying solutions and injectables, oral suspensions as well, or tablets, intramammary injections. That's what the Labrafil is used for. Again, like mentioned, Labrasol is used for shampoos, and some gelasiers have been used in bolus product, and some emulsifiers as well as being used in paste, and more solubilizers in oral solution and suspensions. So the commonly used solvent is Transketal. Let's take a close look about this product. It's high purity grade of diethylene glycol monoethyl ether. It meets all the international and USP NF monographs. because of a lot of ether and alcohol function groups, it can solubilize a broad range of APIs, including hydrophilic and lipophilic APIs. And it's miscible with most of the commonly used excipients in the topical formulation, and it's comparable. It's odorless and colorless. And transketal comes in HP grade, which we recommend oral where injectable. P is a topical grade for human, and V grade is the grade for veterinary products. So in veterinary application, it's again has been used a very powerful solvent, either just for a topical or transdermal actives. It is the highest purity available in the market and widely used in generic spot-on formulations, for example, in fipronil. I'm going to talk about the mechanism a little bit later. And you can also combine with other vehicles to get the transdermal effect for systemic action. In humans, it has a long history of use, and it is very safe when it is applied to skin. We have extensive safety studies and has been used in multiple topical formulations, including lotion, creams, gel, ointment, or a transdermal gel or transdermal patch. You can see some examples here from FDA's IAD list. And the level can depend on the API solubilization capacity or the formulation that you are making. The highest level has been used in a gel, on a topical human gel, is 49.9%. And again, this level really depends on the formulation then, or the API you're going to use. Has been used in multiple APIs worldwide. If you need the list of the APIs that is transketal used with, please let us know. The list is long, so I really didn't have time to share here today. In the animal products also has been used in topical formulations, in spraying solutions, local or injectable solutions, or spot-ons. And it is mostly used for very difficult to solubilize actives like fipronil, ivermectin, or like vitamins. And it's been widely used in flea and tick control. So transketal has some unique effect when it comes to a local delivery of the lipophilic drugs. And most of the flea treatment drugs like fipronil, they are very lipophilic. They come with the high log P. This one comes with around 4.5. So when you dissolve such a high log P API in transketal, apply in the skin, it basically spreads across the skin through the hair follicles and sebaceous glands, and it stays there for a really long time. Like in this test, you can see fipronil, even there was still enough drug after 2 months to kill the fleas in the skin. And the viability of this topically applied fipronil is less than 5% in dogs and cats. So it provides a good local effect. As you can imagine, these insecticides are not desirable for the systemic absorption. So this kind of delivery is a very ideal for the lipophilic drugs. Another example I have is pyroprol, very similar to fipronil. It's derivative of fipronil used for flea treatment, log P around 6. So when it is used at a high concentration solution in transketal for topical application in dogs, it basically kills the fleas within 24-hour exposure, and it sustains its effects for up to 4 weeks. So transketal by itself, again, it's good for a local delivery and or a depot, depend on the concentration or the log P of the API. Another example for a local delivery with transketal is with ivermectin. Again, when ivermectin is applied in a transketal solution in a bovine skin, at the saturated solution, if you compare the drug that is penetrated in a different layers of the skin with just transketal alone, which is here pink, compared to a medium chain triglyceride or the mix of medium chain triglyceride with transketal. As you can see, when it is transketal alone, basically drug localized in the upper layer of the skin, that kind of indicating the depot effect, also minimizing the systemic absorption of the drug. So when it is used by itself, it's good for local delivery. Again, it doesn't matter if it is in the animal product or human product. That is a very similar mechanism. But if you want to have a transdermal delivery, it can be combined with other vehicles that will create a synergy for even to push the API in a deeper layers of the skin, eventually on the systemic circulation. Like in this case, lidocaine permeability was enhanced significantly when transketal has been combined with the lauroglycol FCC. And again, for such studies, you can start with the solubility screening and monitoring the flux with some in vitro France cell studies using the different cell models. In this case, we use the synthetic cell. Okay, so I went through some of the solubilizers and other products that we have, and now I'm going to show you some topical formulations that you can create with Gattefossé ingredients, either for human product or animal products, like ointment, creams, either spot-on, gels, or emulgel, lotions, foams, and sprays. So, in a gel, as you can imagine, the gel is a simple formulation. You will have a gelling agent, and typically API is solubilized in the water. But if your API's solubility is not great, or you need a little bit further penetration enhancer, you can incorporate transketal, labrosol, or capriols, or lauroglycol as a solvent and penetration enhancer. And the level of the solvent you're going to use is going to depend on the gelling agent that you select. Carbomers are the commonly used gelling agents. If you use a carbomer, you can load up to, for example, 30% transketal, or maybe 10% of labrosol. But if you exceed that level, you can go up to 25, but you will not have a clear gel, you will have an opaque gel instead. And you can also incorporate some lipophilic excipient like labrafil, M1944 to get an opaque gel, or similarly plural oleic CC 497, which is another great transdermal vehicle to incorporate in a gel. If you want to incorporate more low HLB solubilizers like capriol, PGMC, you may need the help of another surfactant because they're very lipophilic, and you might have a limitation on the amount of the solvent that you added. And here is an example of a gel with transketal P using the benzoyl peroxide as an API. Here you combine the transketal P with propylene glycol to get a more penetration effect, and you will have your typical gelling ingredients and like preservatives, and when you use a carbopol you have to use a neutralizer, etc. So it's a simple straightforward gel that comes with the pH around 5.6 and the viscosity is around 4600 millipascal. We mentioned before, we have a new product in topical. It is emulsion-free duo. It is basically to create a mixture of aqueous gel and oily gel together. It has a ethyl cellulose as a thickening agent and propylene glycol monolaurate as a solubilizer and penetration enhancer, and propylene glycol isostearate as a skin conditioning agent and surfactant. Sorry, I might have to stop sharing and reshare again to have a video played.
Texture of topical dosage form is an important criteria to take into account when developing a product, as texture has a strong impact on patient adherence to the treatment. Depending on the therapeutic target, skin condition and patient preference, the formulator can choose among lotion, cream, balm or ointment. Bigel is an emerging dosage form that consists in the intimate mixture of an aqueous gel and an oily gel. Discover how to easily obtain bigels using a room temperature process, an emulsion-free duo as stabilizing agent. The first step is to prepare the aqueous phase. In this example, water is added to glycerin. For the purpose of the demonstration, a blue colorant has been added to the aqueous phase. Then the gelling agent is added. A pre-neutralization step is done to increase the viscosity of the gel. The oily phase is prepared by mixing emulsion-free duo and the oil. For the purpose of the demonstration, a yellow colorant has been added to the oily phase. The oily phase is slowly poured in the aqueous phase and dispersed at 3000 rpm for 15 minutes. Microscopic observations reveal a fine and homogeneous dispersion. Depending on the formulation, a wide range of textures can be achieved, from lotions to rich creams. Bigels obtained with emulsion-free duo exhibit exciting textures, with nice cooling sensation, and high attractiveness. The products you get with emulsion-free duo look like emulsions, but aren't. Emulsion-free duo is a PEG-free stabilizing agent, suitable for room temperature process. With emulsion-free duo, obtain attractive and comfortable textures for your topical dosage forms.
So if you like to basically explore this product, feel free to request a sample. So Gattefossé offers also a emulsifier bases. They are just basically ready to use base with the thickeners and viscosity modifiers itself. We have Epifill for high oily content kind of cream formulations. And if you're looking for anhydrous cream, Gattefossé 75 is an option. Gattefossé 63, easy to make emulsifier. It has a good high mucosal tolerance, has been used in intravaginal products. And Gattefossé 1500 is ideal for lotion kind of formulations. And if you need a liquid product, plural, diazosteric is an option. And Gelot 64, it's a good option for difficult to formulate APIs. So let's start with Gelot 64. And again, it is a good emulsifier for difficult APIs, or if you have an API or a formulation that needs to be in a little bit extreme pH, you can basically formulate with this emulsifier, have a pH between 3 to 12, and also good heat stability and compatible with the various gelling agents and topical ingredients. It comes as a pellet. And to make a cream or emulsion with Gelat 64, you have to use your traditional method, basically heat the water phase and the oil phase at 80 degrees and mix them. And then mix them while it is basically stirring under high shear, and cool it while it's mixing, and let it homogenize. Gattefossé 63 is a widely used emulsifier we have. It is just so easy to make an emulsion with Gattefossé 63. You don't require really a high speeding mixing speed or high shear process. And one pot is possible with this emulsifier. You can add all your ingredients, including the water or oily ingredients, in a one container and heat it up and emulsify it. Again, because of excellent mucosal and skin tolerance, this has been widely used in many products. And if you need a reference, please ask the AP list of the APIs that is used for Gattefossé 63. It comes as a white waxy solid, so handling requires a little bit extra attention for this product. Please note that. The other emulsifier we have is plural diazosteric. It comes as a liquid, and it is feasible to make a cold emulsion with this emulsifier. So if you have a heat sensitive API, this is a good alternate, and HLB is low 4.5. When you're making an emulsion with different emulsifiers, the amount of oily phase you're going to incorporate is going to depend on the oil that you use, the polarity of the oil, or the emulsifier itself. You can use this table as your reference guide if you're working with these emulsifiers. In addition to emulsifier, Gattefossé also offers thickeners. Like monostale that comes as a waxy solid, melting point around 36, easy to melt. Gelseer 4301, also waxy solid, low HLB, melting point 43. We have geliol mono and diglyceride as a pellet. It's an excellent viscosity modifier. It's also a good excipient if you want to incorporate, for example, a API in a solvent in an ointment base. Compritol is also widely used as a thickener in emulsion form. It creates a much better texture than the other thickeners that you may have tried. And few emollients that Gattefossé offers is the Labrafac lipophile and Liposeer A. Basically, emollients in a cream improves the skin feel, and spreadability also becomes much better. It becomes a smooth cream. Okay, so one way to incorporate solubilizers in a topical formulation or high amount of solubilizer is to create a microemulsion. Microemulsions are basically clear emulsion systems. They are lower, smaller dispersion size compared to regular emulsions. So therefore, they look like a clear solution. And they are a good option for sprays as well. To create a microemulsion, you need a surfactant like Labrasol, or co-surfactant like capriol, lauroglycol, or plural oleic, and some oily phase like Labrafil or Labrafac. And you're gonna mix with the different ratio with the water. And this typically work with the ternary diagram to find the right ratio of these ingredients to create the microemulsion. And we have a lot of ternary diagram examples if you need to create one. Here is an example with the Labrasol plural oleic as the surfactant, co-surfactant mix, and Labrafac lipophile as the oily ingredient. Here we identify the microemulsion regions. In the blue, A, B, C, D, E points are macroemulsions. So when you take this solution mix and put it in a bottle. They are clear solution, but when you spray out, they create a foam, very light textured foam. Again, depending on some points might have lighter than even other, as you can see in this picture. And this creates a dosage form that doesn't require any rubbing. It might be really friendly for dogs or cats or your pets, or even for animal, even for human as well. If you're developing a product that should not be rubbed, this could be a good option. And again, another way to create a formulation with a lot of solubilizer is just simple solution in a API dissolved in, like here, this example, ibuprofen in solubilized in transketol, and simply mixed with the other solubilizers, including water. So if you're looking for a cream formulation with Gelos 64, it's typically used with Emulsier 61WL. And you can basically add an API. In this case, we have a placebo prototype. And most of our prototypes come with some sensorial attributes, and you can check if the spreadability or soft after feel, all the film residue, how that looks like in that typical prototype. And as an example, with when the API is incorporated, here in this case, betamethasone ointment with Gelos 64, it doesn't have any oily ingredients, water ingredients, typical oily components that you can create an ointment. And you can create a very basically nice looking creams with Gattefossé 63 and combine with the Labrafil M1944 as a co-emulsifier. And you can see again the some sensorial attributes of this kind of prototype as well. And as an example with a Gattefossé 63 with the API, diclofenac sodium in this case, how you can create a very patient-friendly formulation. This case, actually, it's an emol gel. You are adding as xanthan gum or carbomer as a gelling agent in addition to your typical cream ingredients. Here is the we call it bubble shield. It is a mix. It's a macroemulsion in a bottle. Labrasol, pluraloleic, and Labrafac, the Tanner diagram that I show. When it is sprayed out, it creates very light texture foam. It will basically be spread in within the minutes on the skin. So again, with a foam with the API, this case, it's a lidocaine base. You can incorporate actually many APIs because you have a lot of different solvents and solubilizers in this kind of formulation. If you're looking to create lotion, Gattefossé 1500 is a good option because of the viscosity properties. It's more suitable for a lotion. And you can see the spreadability with this kind of formula is much better. With the emulfree Duo, the new product we also have some prototypes. Here it's a bi-gel, basically emulfree stabilizing agent, and you can still incorporate the oily phase and your typical water phase solvents, glycerin, and gelling agent as well. And instead of creating like very petrolatum, not patient-friendly ointments, you can create the ointments more in a balm kind of texture, easy to apply either on human products or even veterinary products with Gelos 64 and using some oily solubilizers and thickeners from Gattefossé. And it becomes much better user-friendly product than your petrolatum-based ointments. And again, the sensorial attributes, if you want to compare, most of our prototypes comes with these different properties of formulation, either spreadability or a film residue or a thickness, etc. And for any additional information, we have these prototype formulations described in the brochure, or additional prototypes with different APIs. We can provide some practical tips information. We have extensive information on Trans-ketol P and ML-free duo. And again, we have a catalog for the veterinary medicine if you need further support. And thank you so much for listening.